Call the spaceships to Davenport. Prepare for div anarchy and interface with a couch in space. It is once again Space Couch time. Thank you so much for joining me out here in the furthest reaches of the cosmos for really no reason other than that I thought it sounded cool. But I will commit to a premise, and I did launch myself bodily into the void to bring you this show. But it's not just me bringing you this show. We could not do it without the help of our advertisers. Brand new this week, it's Tiger Squawk Records. You want to check out, of course, Blöde Gothic Scheiß from science fiction. The new one from Isserly. It's a beast. You want to check out And D Us from Batavia. Also, Cannibal World from Isserly. She's on a tear. Also available, Ashes to Slashes from Wait For It, Isserly. It's really creepy. Skull Cultists, Blood Carvings. Keep that in mind. Every Day is a New Disaster from Syndicate Zero. The instrumentals on Tiger Squawk. So Happy just came out 5 seconds ago. Grasp Logic, of course. Don't want to go wrong with that single. And, of course, Bad Fact from Gasoline Invertebrate. And Sanity Checks is out. Oh, we worked so hard on that shit. Check that out. Definitely is on Tiger Squawk now with Descent. It's a killer. And you want to check out Gasoline Invertebrate on tour with God Module and Absinthe of Faith coming to La Crosse, Wisconsin, Minneapolis, Chicago, and Ann Arbor, Michigan in that order at next month. So look for that at the end of March. Right. But that is then. This is now XRL7 first in the chat room on YouTube. Last week's guest. What's up, man? Well, I'll tell you what's up here. We are going to talk to someone with whom you already may be familiar if you listen to Industrial Nerds, because he's my co-host on that show. But we're going to delve into the reaches of the latest of the not insignificant number of projects from this man. For Blood Carvings, here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Steven Saunders. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Brian. Hey, everyone.
How are you?
Hello. I'm well, thank you.
Awesome.
How's my camera looking? Because Mothra just hit it. So.
Oh, you're great. You're great, dude.
Okay, good. Oh yeah, it's looking all right.
Yeah, you're A1. We can fix that if you want.
I since Skull Cultist and everything, and it's grim. I have a fun grim fact out the gate.
Okay.
My grandfather's buried in Davenport. So.
All right. Okay.
That's he's calling all the ships. So.
Wow. Well, now we know. That what's up to Mr. Bixley and Sawa666 on Twitch.
Hey, Sabine. Oh, and
hey,
Craig.
We'll break back. Speaking of Twitch, I forgot to do Patreon advertisers, but we'll break into that in just a second. Because as long as you're on screen, I don't even know where to start. So Skull Cultist,
Yes.
already brought up. We already know you from Club of Vader Zoth. Why a new project now, and what distinguishes Skull Cultist?
Oh, that's a good question. Of course, that's what you're always supposed to say, right? But that is a good question.
Thank you.
Yay. A long time ago, I started Club of Eight or Mrs. Off and the Were Spiders, and then I brought in my good buddy Ruben Parker,
Shout
and
out to Ruben.
yeah, and Ruben, so he's a full partner in the projects, and we're working on a new Club of Eight right now. We had to take a hiatus from that because, unfortunately, his wife passed away,
Mm.
and I had another project in the hopper, and so I started in the interim working on
Mm-hmm.
Skull Cultist. Started off as like a remix of one of my Mr. Zaw tracks, and it just kind of turned into a whole project. It's supposed to be kind of
Wow.
like it's had many different changes. Like it was supposed to be some kind of ambient, trippy project, and then turned into, I guess, techno, rhythmic noise, industrial techno. And
Right.
then Ruben's been working on his Durance Vile project as well. And then yeah, so that's how Skull Cultist came about, really, just like
Okay.
any other
Okay.
project. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So Club Ovator was really you and Ruben, and then is that fair to say, or is it like Skull Cultist is kind of like your solo project from Clubbo, or is it like a different thing altogether?
Yeah, yeah, Skull Cultist is my solo project,
All right.
and I
Cool. Cool.
mean, Ruben might come in and do stuff. He might lay drums on a track or
Uh
something. We'll help each other's projects out. But I mean, he's only 2 blocks away from me. We're pretty close. So,
huh.
I just wanted, like, because Club Evader has gone through all these different changes from it being a weird solo project that no one
Right.
listened to for years and turning into more of what it is now. And we wanted to combine Ruben's sound with my sound into like a its own sound, which I think
Mm-hmm.
we really nailed with the new stuff that we're working on. And Skull Cultist is more like my industrial techno. Like if you like the
Okay.
more like industrial techno Club Evader and the really creepy Mr. Zoth stuff, this is the
Okay.
combo.
Awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Want to give a shout out to DJ D42 Adam Bauman, the sober
Oh,
stenographer
hey.
on Twitch. What's up to the raid from our very favorite MTV TV? Well, let's take a listen
Nice.
to that Skull Cultist.
Sure.
This will be off of Blood Carving. What I thought was the most recent Skull Cultist album until earlier today, but we'll get into that. Oh, oop, space controller while you do that. And all right, and we're back. So that was Blood Carving off of the album Blood Carvings. Um,
Imaginative.
which just kind of blew my mind when I first heard it. I as the Blood Carvings EP or album or whatever it should be called, is there an ethos, like a gestalt, if you will, behind that body of work?
Yeah, like I guess
Mm-hmm.
I always have an idea when I'm going in and doing stuff. Sometimes I build stuff around like a title or an
Mm-hmm.
idea. And weirdly, Blood Carving is a track and EP, I suppose, that started from a treatment of a script I wrote.
What?
Yeah, yeah, that
Really?
involves like an actual Mexican cannibal cult and stuff like that, based around a woman who's a cult leader, and it's a pretty
Wow.
interesting
Okay. I didn't
story.
know there was such a narrative.
And I just I thought I'd make a good name for a track, and I was like, I want to make this as, I guess, hard techno, rhythmic noise, bloody, because I've always wanted to do like a project that's like Synapscape or something. I
Mm.
mean, nothing's
Mm.
original, right? And you're always looking who to influence or rip off, I guess. And
Right.
I really wanted to have like a pummeling track
Okay.
and that's how it just came about. And I guess the message in Blood Carving, because it's got some really deep lyrics, like
Mm-hmm.
blood carving, this is your pain, this is your life, really deep shit.
Right.
And I just want something I can go and scream on stage.
Uh huh.
I'll be I'll be playing at the end of April in Vancouver,
Oh,
and yeah,
awesome.
and my first Skull Cultist live show, aside from the
Woo!
DJ live show that will be on Squawk Stock. But
Oh, awesome.
yeah. So but the first one where I get to actually scream because I can't scream in my apartment. So, and I just want to do stuff that's like that. That's just
Very cool. Well,
pretty much
what's
it.
up to Rachel on Facebook there? Oh, I'm looking
Hey,
forward to
Rachel.
that. Um, how much did, well, actually, I'm going to save that question for something that just came out.
Okay.
Mr. Bixley says that song was really short. Oh, you joker. That was
Four
just
to
a
two
clip.
seconds.
But you
That's the
can
key.
get blood carvings now at skullcultist.bandcamp.com. I suggest you do while you're there. This may be the closest we've ever. I take that back. One of the closest um, episodes we've ever done, time wise, post a release, because you just dropped a new album. It just came out a little bit ago as we're talking. So Happy is out now on Tiger Squawk. Get that at, of course, skullcultist.bandcamp.com. Here is a clip of the title track off of So Happy, which just came out. I'm so happy. All right, so we are going to get into the essence of So Happy in just a second, but we're just going to do a little break right now to talk about, of course, our wonderful Patreon sponsors. Thanks to Gozer Games, IHateArtists.com, Lured by Radium, Dominic Pietro, Grim Reaper for Hire, killing it on SoundCloud these days. Bremley, Ray Calderon, DJ Fly Ahead on Twitch TV/Flya HAED, Walter Magoon for leatherworking, Hunt and Hawk for the amazing film The Ditch, and of course, a glitch. Get your name on those credits at patreon.com/gothsicles, a Tiger Squawk digital endeavor, our ruthless parent company that is never happy with anything and sort of drives us all in a slave-ish manner. But speaking of being so happy, wow. So it just came out. How do you feel about it, man?
Real quick, Hunt Het Hawk is going to be on the Insulin Shocks compilation.
Oh,
So
well, we
that's
will get into that in just a
super
second.
cool to see them on there. So so how so yeah, So Happy just came out. Uh, you're asking like how like
Yeah, well,
what
like
happened?
you just put it out. Like, are you happy about it? Like, is it like was it a giant cathartic release for you? Like, what's the feeling inside your heart right now?
Well, Brian, I am so happy it was released.
Ah,
And I've been screwing around with it for a while. Like, and anybody who does music knows they're always screwing around with the sound, and it's
right.
been done for a bit. I did some last minute changes to all that, and then I finally I was like, I'm just going to release it. I wanted to get it out before this, so I just was talking to Nicole earlier this morning and said, yeah, I'm just gonna release it. And so just like that Hate Department song, I released it, and there we go.
Awesome.
It's I guess it's kind of personal. There's some like So Happy, I guess, is repetitive but also personal, which kind of fits. And I dedicated it to our beloved cat Luna that
Mm-hmm.
died a couple months ago.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
yeah, and it's yeah.
All right.
I
Well,
like how it turned out. Hopefully anybody else that listens to it, those three people like it as well. So
no,
it's
stop. It's well, it just came out. Uh, did that? Did the final change a lot? Like, I know you're talking about tweaking the sound, but like, this is just a concept I've been sort of playing with lately on Couch, which like
mhm.
from concept to like whatever the idea came into your head for these songs. How
Okay.
much do you think that initial kernel of an idea changed to what became the final product? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
A lot changed.
Hmm.
Originally, for instance, the title track "So Happy," the concept of "So Happy" was supposed to be like a parody of happy hardcore,
Hmm.
like like Scooter. And So Happy was a 140, 145 BPM happy hardcore track. And then I was playing around with some drum tracks and came up with that drum track and just completely shifted
Mm.
the track into like, what is it, 110 bpm, like it's much slower.
Hmm.
And it turned into that, and then I added
Wow. Okay.
vocals. Dig Two Graves was originally an instrumental. Anybody who's a patron on my Patreon got it like 2 months ago or
Hmm.
so, and it was like this 8 minute long instrumental. And then I added, and in the last like month, I was adding vocals to it, and like there was a vocal, I suppose. And then I'm not really much of a, when you're a kid and you think you're a great poet or a lyricist, and
Yeah.
I don't really do much with my lyrics. I just kind of
Oh,
repeat
okay.
myself. But and then some of the other like harvesting season on there is, it's a mix of what will be a much shorter, probably half as long mix, and more complicated, but I wanted to put it out there with all the season of the witch, Halloween 3 samples. So I just like, it all just kind of changes as everything goes, and
Yeah.
then it's my problem is sticking to it and not
Okay.
changing it all. I don't know about you, but I'll have a track I'm totally married to for like 3 months, and then in the last 2 weeks I change everything
Hmm.
about it because I get an idea. I don't know. It's
I've gotten better. I've gotten better at not not fucking with it too much after the initial fact. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But
Oh yeah.
it's definitely, well, sometimes you end up with a better product where it's like, I'm not gonna incorporate this new
Yeah.
idea because I don't want to totally change anything, and then I finally do. I'm like, oh gosh, why was I fighting it? It's much better a song now. So that's always the judgment call, but you can make that judgment call for yourself at home if you check out the new Skull Cultist. So happy. Available
No,
on Bandcamp or on your Patreon. Let's plug that. How do we join your
yeah.
Patreon?
It's Patreon. It's Mr. Zoth, MRZOTH. That's my Patreon
Check you
for
out at
the things I do.
patreon.com/Mr. Zoth, MROZOTH.
And
Um, when we may get into that project later. So much going on.
yeah,
Um, I'm not even sure where to go to next, but because we touched on it briefly, Squawk Stock 3, the online festival for our own Tiger Squawk Records, is February 25. You want to check that out. Thanks to More Death on
thank you.
Twitch for putting up the link. You
Ooh,
just
excuse
go
me.
to twitch.tv/Tiger Squawk for that online festival. One of those we just learned will be, one of those performers, I should say, will be our own Skull Cultist as your first live show. What can we expect? Are you going to do that out in Meat Space? Uh, how are you preparing for Skull Cultist live going forward and for this show?
Well, for this show, for
Hmm.
Squawk Stock, I will be right here, except
Hmm.
standing up in front of a keyboard, which I'll be playing some
Hmm.
of, and also playing to my tracks.
Okay.
The I was gonna try to do live vocals, but if I can hear my neighbors across the hall in their hockey game that they're watching clear as a bell, it's probably not good because I'll get excited because I'll have headphones
Yeah,
on, and
that's
then it'll be, yeah,
I got to
yeah,
figure out how I'm going to do mine without pissing off the neighbors again. They were really angry at me before.
But if anybody remembers the first Squawk Stock, and Club Evader doing that in a local venue that we rented, there'll actually be vocals this time because I can't fuck that up. So because the vocals cut out for that recording. But yeah, it'll be pre-recorded, so I'll be in the chat with everybody and seeing what they think. I'll probably wear a mask. Um, because I don't have to worry about doing vocals. And yeah, it's just going to be tracks from variations of tracks from
Oh, cool.
blood carvings, and So Happy, and that's it. That's that's the set. For live, it's going to be me yelling on a microphone. I might have a friend going with me to Vancouver to be my second. I don't know.
And when's
So
Vancouver happening?
I believe that's April 28th.
All right,
And
we'll check that out if you're in the
yeah,
Vancouver area.
yeah, I don't know where it's happening yet. I will find that out soon. Who knows? I might
All right,
cancel.
well, April
Yeah.
28th if you're in Vancouver, you want to check out Skull Cultist.
And that's
Um,
Vancouver, BC, not
that's
Vancouver, Washington.
that's we'll do. Yes, you are of course in Canada as we speak. Um,
Mhm.
let's do this before I forget. This is a performance from a previous Squawk Stock. I believe this is Squawk Stock 2. One of your other projects, Mr. Zoth. Let's check that out. That'll be cut 8. Six. All right. So that was Mr. Zoth. That's not Skull Cultist. That's one of the many projects of our guest today. One of the top sellers, if I think not the top seller on Drive Through RPG for gaming music.
One of them.
Mr. Zoth is just getting critical hits all over the place. You want to check that out for all your atmospheric and gaming needs. MrZoth.bandcamp.com. But speaking of many and varied bands, also touched on earlier, I want to make sure we get to this. You have been working very hard on something known, whispered Camelot-like among industrial types. Insulin Shocks. Tell us about this.
Yeah, Insulin Shocks is a 60+ band compilation. It's coming out in Bandcamp soon. There have been a couple small delays, nothing major. A wide variety of bands. All of the profits are going, all the proceeds, sorry, are going to the Diabetic Research Institute Diabetic Research Institute Foundation, DRIF. In the US, me and Brian Knoll, the person that my co-curator on that compilation,
shout out to
are
Brian Knoll.
we're both type 1 diabetics.
Wow, okay.
And I've been a diabetic since I was 19. I'm almost 50 now, so it gives you an idea how long I've had diabetes. I take it very seriously, and I wanted to do something because we did that Eternus Memoria compilation.
Hell yeah.
Raising funds for cancer research and or the BC Cancer Foundation. And it was actually quite fulfilling to compile and ask all these bands who are incredibly generous with their time and efforts, right? And some, and same with Insulin Shocks. It has a lot of exclusive stuff on it. It's got some stuff that that's already on other things, but it's just like you're on there, you're on there again, and I'm on there. I'm a little embarrassed by the fact that it was decided that we would lead the compilation with. I did a track from Skull Cultist called "Insulin Shocked," and that will lead it off. And it was weird because it's like your compilation, but
right.
you feel it's a bit ostentatious to do that. And it's being mastered right now as we speak
cool,
by Mark Allen Miller of Out Out, which is one of my favorite bands of all time. I freaked out when Brian said, "Hey, how do you feel about Mark from Out Out doing the mastering? He's offered to do it." And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. That's crazy.
Like some other Out that I don't know. Like they can't be the like industrial legend.
Yeah, I know a lot of my heroes from the industry, like personally, but I've never gotten to meet Mark.
Okay.
And I was like floored. I was doing a happy dance, man. Like, because Out Out, I love Out Out. It's one of my top 10 favorite bands of all time. So I freaked out. and ran around the house like one of the cats chasing a toy, and I think I banged my knee on the coffee table. And yeah, so he's mastering it, and then my friend, and well, Ruben is doing the artwork in
Okay.
collaboration with Nicole. And I saw a prelim of the artwork. It looks sick, looks
Yeah.
great.
Well, we
And
have Nicole, your wife, to thank for the cover of "So Happy,"
correct.
which is pretty awesome. So we're looking forward to Insulin Shocks, not only for the cover art, which I will take on trust, is amazing, but
It's really good.
60 plus bands. We have
Mm-hmm.
people. We have a Type 2 control in the chat room here, so you're getting some support. This is good. This is the new
Yeah.
electronic saviors. This Insulin Shock.
Diabetics. Oh,
This is gonna rock.
if for the diabetics in the chat, if the track I did does sample Wilfred Brimley, di- diabetes. So yeah, it's
Gotta do it. Uh,
yeah.
so look for Insulin Shocks coming up. That's on Squawk? Yeah, are we not doing that?
Oh, you it can be like I
All
thought
right.
that was the yeah. You can put it on Squawk. It's
All
cool.
right, yeah,
Like
okay,
that's
well, we'll check it out.
yeah.
Cool, man. Looking forward to that. The so much coming up in the clip. We should address the industrial elephant in the room. You're my co-host on Industrial Nerds.
Shit, I didn't think you'd mention that.
Oh no, yeah, this is.
Oh.
We won't do straight up Industrial Nerds, which is of course a podcast on the Tiger
Mhm.
Squawk digital network. Find that out wherever you get your podcast: Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, all that, or spacecouch.libsyn. I screwed it up. Industrialnerds.libsyn.com, spacecouch.libsyn.com, where you can get the podcast of this show, also available from Tiger Squawk Digital. But we're talking about Industrial Nerds right now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it is the podcast that does exactly what it says on the tin. We examine sometimes full nerd, sometimes full industrial, often the cross section of nerdery and industrial, because let's face it, they're often the same thing. We have recently, if we could just sort of expound on the show as itself for a second, I want to know how you feel about the sort of new guest format. Like we sort of stumbled into the show, just sort of bringing up a topic and riffing on it. But lately, we've been bringing in guests. We had my buddy Zach to talk about Moon Knight. We had Finale to talk
Mm-hmm.
about just madness. Of course, Eva X, and was amazing for me. Now, the other guests were amazing as well, but holy smokes, got to talk to Rodney from Curse of Cassandra about.
Cassandra Complex.
I screwed it up. I love Curse of Cassandra as well, but the band that I love so much in the world, I screwed it. Cassandra Complex, of course. Just doing deep dives on all things role playing games, Lovecraft. We got into a little bit. So, what do you like? I'm guessing you're enjoying the guest format, or is that like a new ground for you?
I hate it because it takes away from the focus on me.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
honestly, I love it. Like, I think
yeah.
it's like long time ago, I used to interview a lot of bands and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I just really enjoy having them on there. And it's weird how we'll get our guests because Cassandra Complex, I think I was like talking about like there was someone else like Rodney was talking about something on like Sounds and Shadows
Mm-hmm.
and on Facebook, and then he mentioned something about role playing games, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, we should get you on
Oh,
Industrial Nerds, and he was like, absolutely, and he wanted to come on, and I didn't know that Rodney was like a role playing game designer and worked on Car Wars,
what?
and that he his
Oh
one
yeah,
of
we
his favorite
discovered
games is
all that
mine.
on the
Yeah,
show.
yeah, he's a big Warhammer Fantasy role play nerd. I was like, what? Like, because that's my favorite game. I was I was like
That's
stoked.
so
It
cool.
was yeah, it's the format's great because I mean, we could be. It's always fun talking to you
Yeah.
and talking about our nerd shit, but like having a guest on there is
Yeah.
fantastic. It's a
It's
lot of
pretty
fun.
great. Like, we did an episode of industrial music and video games, let's say, but
Hmm.
the world is such that we can just call up that guy. We'll probably get him.
Yep.
So, like, I was wondering if you would be interested in previewing some of the guests we've been talking about for nerds, or should we save that as they're released, if you will?
Well, I can certainly give like there was one guest that we didn't really have to chase him down. He wanted to do it straight out the gate, and he has a new book coming out. And it's just after the holidays, and
Yeah.
he has a lot of work. He's like one of the lead guys and head of PR for 2000 AD, which is the comic that Judge Dredd, actually 2000 as of today, 2000 AD launched in 1977, and it's a
Wow.
weekly British comic that has like Judge Dredd and
Oh
Starman
yeah.
Dog and Rogue Trooper, and so Michael Molker is his name, and he's an old friend of mine from the comic book industry, which I used to work in. And his book is called "I Am the Law," which is like basically how our society has turned into Judge Dredd, or how that all relates to our current society in which we live. And it's a really good book. I've been reading through it, and we're gonna have him on soon, just because he was just emailing me about that. I can. I don't think he'll mind. Scott from My Varden Sphere wants to be on the show,
Oh yeah.
right? He wants to talk like I think he wants to talk role playing, like Warhammer,
Oh
like
hell
just
yeah.
40K. And I'm like, yeah, dude, because he's the other guy on Drive Through RPG that sells a lot of
Oh,
stuff.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
It
and yeah,
did a lot of work with my own friend Sprite from Chicago for his game Eclipse Phase, of
oh, I
course.
love that game.
Oh,
So good.
awesome, awesome,
Transhumanist, fucking awesome.
good
Yeah, I love that game.
stuff. So, yes, this is exciting. We will have 2000 AD's own Mike, and what could be more encapsulating of industrial and nerd culture than Judge Dredd? So we're gonna do a deep
Hmm.
dive on Judge Dredd with the Inside Man coming up, and there's a small upcoming industrial artist you might have heard of. I Farted Sphere. Hell yeah, is gonna talk industrial uh, music as it as and the crossover of painting small minis and orc armies and blood for the blood god and whatever else we may discover. A lot of the show is discovery. It's me, honestly. It's me sort of discovering your insane past. Like I'll never forget. Possibly maybe my most favorite moment on the show, top five in any case, of Matt Finale of Caustic telling a story about how some nerd he saw a million years ago fanboyed out on whoever we were talking about at the time, and it was later determined in short order that the guy he was talking about was you.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Go back and check it out. Jason Hollis of Endip is in the chat room
Oh,
today. Oh,
I
celebrities.
love End of also Retcon. Is it Retcon? Yeah, the his EBM project is awesome. It's
Well,
fucking awesome.
shout out to him. He says, "So you're doing it like they do on the Discovery Channel."
Yep.
That's the OnlyFans. That's the industrial nerds OnlyFans coming up shortly. You know, if So Happy doesn't sell enough, I'm kidding.
We're on OnlyFans, and the price of admission is only one fully assembled primate skeleton, and just as the writer says,
just for a primate skeleton, like we'll do it.
any primate will do. Yeah,
Bonobo, uh,
nobody would be as long as it
Rhesus
died from natural
monkey,
causes. Rhesus
any,
monkey,
yeah.
howler monkey. Yeah.
Yeah, howler monkey would be good. And don't be weird. Don't like hunt one down, but just if you have
No.
in your possession, maybe like a family heirloom,
Yeah.
a skeleton,
It's in the drawer.
of a
It's just hanging
primate.
out.
We'll even take like an Arthur German style human ape hybrid skeleton. Not to give that story away, but
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with H.P. Lovecraft. We talk about him once or twice or every single show we've ever done for industrial nerds. Thank you for letting me do so many laps on that. I just really like that project. Thank you so much for the journey that Industrial Nerds has been. But I want to bring it back to you as our guest.
Okay.
We touched a little bit on Mr. Zoth, the best atmospheric. Many people use it for gaming. I love it for the atmospheric stuff. Squawk Stock has made it the official title screen music, so thank you for that. Um, a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
some
it
Cosmic
is
Dread. Yeah.
pay what you want. So, if you're a cheapskate, it's there for you too. Clubo Vader, we touched on, and have had you and Ruben on a previous episode to talk about.
Hmm.
Sorry, I spilled a little soda and now I'm burping it up, just being gross. Uh,
Nice.
yeah, that's how I do out here in space. It's just me and
Mm.
Space Dog. Um, and occasionally Space Wave if you see her hand me something on the off screen. But uh, I must confess a little ignorance. I wasn't familiar heretofore you mentioning it for the project Orthocarus. How is that? Orthocarus?
I say Orthocaris.
Orthocarus.
It's a variation of the spelling of Orthoceras, which is a very very old I guess you could say cephalopod. It's like a very ancient cephalopod that you get fossils of that look really
What?
super cool. Um, let, oh, you're on the computer. I guess I could. Do I have one near here? I have no idea.
No, we'll take your
They're
word for it.
but yeah, maybe Nicole. She's like getting up. Yeah. So it's an ancient. Um, there we go. Wow, look at this. So I actually have some. Thank you, Nicole.
What?
All right, I'll put this on the camera. There we go. I
Oh,
can
look
see
at
it.
that.
Yeah. So that's an Orthoceras. It's like, and I also have ones that are like that look
If you're
like
just
huge.
listening, my guest has held up a fossil of what is that, like a fin or a tentacle or something?
It's the whole thing, baby. It's like a tube, and
Oh, that's what it is. Okay,
it's
I couldn't even
Orthoceras.
tell.
That's
It's a
like
very
you could see it in.
cylindrical shaped animal.
Yeah, and
Wow.
it's like
Okay.
in yeah, it's in this it's fossilized, right? And then you can get them in these. I have another one. It's like this. It's like a huge. It looks like something out of like a Lovecraftian nightmare. Um, I don't know where it is
Well,
currently.
that's the origin of the
Oh, it's
name.
right
What's the
there.
project sound like?
So, oh, okay, yeah. So we should probably get to the project. So Orthocaris is a project. It's a dark ambient soundscape that I work on with Nicole. Actually, she'll be doing some spoken word
Oh,
on it,
great.
and it's really super duper dark. And our cat Azrael is running around singing the song of his people. And so it's always fun.
Well, we do
Uh,
love pets here on Industrial. I almost said Industrial Nerds. We do love pets here on Space Couch. Shout out to Mothra and Azrael, wonderful goth
yeah.
pet names.
Yeah, they're Azrael loves to talk, and
Okay.
he's like when everyone talks about cats, they're
Yeah.
aloof and they ignore you. Azrael is like a dog in that sense. He wants you to watch him and hold him while he drinks from the sink, and then he wants to hang out with you all the time. And then he'll wander around our place going row like as that he's just
What
like
is your
screwing his.
What Othokara's project sound like? It's dark ambient.
Yeah. Sorry, it sounds like Azrael. No, it's dark ambient soundscape is probably the
Okay.
best way to describe it. So think I want to do a project that was like Cosmic Dread from Mr. Zoth and the Were Spiders.
Right.
So because Mr. Zoth is me and Ruben now, and whereas Cosmic Dread was an album that was just me,
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to do a project that was like that, more
Mm-hmm.
soundtracky and with some spoken word on it because Nicole has such a great voice and she's cool. She's pretty cool. I'm not just saying that because you're there, baby.
Oh well.
It's like, yeah, sure. But
No.
like,
Shout out to Nicole here on Space Couch.
you've gotten shout outs.
So we will look forward to this project.
Mhm.
Is there stuff out now, like a Bandcamp?
Um, Only like a track or two that with no vocals on Patreon,
Okay.
and so we're still working on stuff.
So we got to do that
And
Patreon. That's
yeah, I mean,
patreon.com slash Mr. Zoth for brand new stuff from
it's
Orthocaris.
and first looks at tracks
First
and
looks at
different
tracks.
remixes and like maybe a DJ set here and there.
All right.
It's It's only a buck. I don't think
It's
there's
only a
any other
buck,
tier.
man.
Yeah, there's
Uh,
no other tier. It's just a buck and whatever you want to pay.
well,
So
and if you are of a similar mind and have been sucked into the horrible, fetid, insalubrious cult that is gaming and need creepy
nerds.
sounds in the background, like if your characters are exploring, I don't know, a dungeon,
Yep,
you're going to need some Orthocaris or Mr. Zoth. Um, or the new So Happy from Blood
that could work.
Carving. So Happy if you need to make a charisma check or something. I'm kidding. Dire Radiance shooting all out of that. Speaking of Radiance, it's now feature time here
Okay.
on Space Couch. We will start with, of course, Radiation Round. Called
Oh
that
no.
because lightning is exceedingly rare in space. No wrong answers. Just tell me what you think. So we'll start out with everyone says, Pinhead's everybody's favorite Cenobite, but in terms of the second stringers, give me your choice of Butterball, Chatterer, or the female.
Well, I'll have to say the female. I
Yeah.
I and it's partially personal because I don't really know Barbie Wild, but I've had a lot of contact with her, and she sent me a book with a beautiful I guess she wrote
The
something.
female
She wrote stuff in,
Cenobite sent you a book?
yeah, she wrote a novel, and it's actually pretty decent, and she's super cool. Like, she's really super sweet, very nice.
It's like a
I
like a
believe
like a
she's the
narrative.
second one. Yeah. It is, if I remember correctly, it is sort of like a dark romantic thriller it's a horror book,
Okay.
and she's like basically an elder goth, right? Like herself. Like she's
Yeah.
American, and I think she might live in Britain now, but she's like been in a lot of stuff, but she's mainly known for being the second female Cenobite from Hellraiser
Okay.
2, and she's super awesome. So I'm always partial to her, and also the not the female, because of course you have the current Pinhead, which is a lady, and is which I kind of like the new Hellraiser. I
It's
didn't think
pretty
I
pretty good.
it was okay. Yeah, it was like certainly better than Hellraiser 3 on.
We should
Um,
ha, we
we should
should
do a
do the
Hellraiser
new
and Hellraiser.
Hellraiser on a nerds.
Yeah, yeah. That would be, and it'd be fun because I used to do this podcast with my friend Ryan Speck a long time ago
Retro
called.
Dungeon is in the room. What's up to
Oh, hey, Retro
Bitman?
Dungeon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, she's in the loads of things. Barbie's just saying that Barbie was big on the '80s post-punk scene. She was in loads of things. She's super awesome.
All right, so
But yeah, I did this podcast called Mouth Fist with my friend Ryan, and we did a Hellraiser episode, and Ryan is known, if anybody knows Ryan Speck, he's known for being like extremely brutal. Like, he's extremely opinionated and very brutal. I
okay.
love the guy, old friend, very, very who does not fuck around. And so he went off about Clive Barker and how much he hated his stuff, and someone linked the podcast to Clive Barker, and then he thought it was hysterical because Clive Barker has a really good sense of humor. And I was like really freaked out by that at the time because there's Clive Barker DMing me, right? So but he was really nice about it. He's a really
Well,
nice guy.
okay. So we're only one question in on Radiation Around. We're getting this amazing story. So Clive
Sorry, I'm
Barker
just off
DM'd
base
you
here.
after a podcast.
Yeah, yeah, because
Wow.
well, I messaged him. I don't really go much on Twitter, but at the time I was on Twitter a bit more, and I saw him. Someone linked it to him, and I was like, oh shit. And then I apologized because, I mean, I have my problems with some of the Hellraiser stuff, but I don't, I don't I
Mhm.
don't I don't say bad things about Clive Barker. I mean, I love Midnight Meat Train, both the story and film, right? Like, I mean,
oh
and Books of Blood, and like, I mean, he's a big influence on me.
yeah, he's
Um,
cutting the things off. Yeah, keeping them in
yeah. Oh,
jars.
yeah. Oh man, and of course Nightbreed, or Cabal, and Weave
Sure,
World, which is like my one of my favorite
it's
books of
great.
all time. Yeah, and there's this guy, like, somebody's like linking him to, like, hey, these guys talk massive shit about you, and then he thought it was hysterical. He DM me and was like, it's no problem, like. Thank you so
Wow.
much.
Well, okay.
Like, what a nice
We got to
guy.
do a deep dive on Weave Worlds too, because that's fascinating. Um,
Yeah,
that was the longest. It's no wrong answers, but possibly the longest radiation round answer of all
because I
time.
talk a
We're
lot.
gonna jump to the second one. Weave World changed my life, says End if hell yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Nice.
I'm just going through the comic book version now. Uh, this might be another big one, but we'll see if we can do it real quick. Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder? What do you say?
Aren't they the same thing?
Okay, that's a great answer. Moving
Uh,
on
D and
to
D. Yeah,
what's that?
D&D, but
D
really
and D.
Warhammer Fantasy role play. Yeah. So
All right,
continue.
and lastly, United States or Canada?
Canada.
Canada. So
Um.
we have.
Yeah.
Go ahead. What would go expound
Oh
on
no,
Canada?
go. I'm a diabetic
Hmm.
who is of a working class background. Of course, I like
Okay.
Canada more than the United States. Yeah.
All right. So we have the female, essentially indifferent, but Dungeons and Dragons in a pinch, and Canada. Thank you so much. We will now move on to the not the latest because we've been doing it for a while, but we're just calling it this now. The second feature. Oh no, we're gonna crash into the sun. Hypothetical spectacle. There it is.
All right.
This is where we sort of distill the essence of your thing as another thing. I think we did Club Ovator, the video game, last time. So, what if we did Skull Cultist, the '80s action figure toy line? So, like, would there be
Ooh.
like a wind-up fist for like the crush your enemies action, or would there maybe like each figure comes? You know how they do where like each figure has like a piece. You could put that together for perfect integration.
Yeah. I like that. Real quick to answer Mordith there. I loved Event Horizon. It's one of my favorite movies. That's what he means by Hellraiser in space, right? Okay, so it'd be something like this. So you like the Sister of
Maybe
Battle
he
right
means
here?
Hellraiser 4.
I know he means Hellraiser
Oh,
4,
okay.
which
Oh,
I actually enjoy.
I stepped on your joke. I'm sorry. I screwed that up.
You
Uh,
fucked it up, dude.
I
You fucked it
super did. Well, more of that is available on Industrial Nerds. Just me screwing up my friend's
up.
jokes.
Where we're going, we don't need jokes to see. All right, cool.
Oh,
Cool.
well done.
But on the toy thing, I think it would be something like this Sister of Battle, right? The suit
Okay.
and with a good chain sword or a chain axe,
Okay.
and then got a good little skull face, just make it more skull-like.
Right,
And you
right.
gotta have a big old gun like this bolter right
Right.
here.
But the gun
But it
has to
actually,
have a sampler like built into it.
yes, it would be an actual captive bolt gun that you use for slaughter, but with a sampler attached, kind of like this Casio SK1, like that level of sampling. Like so, literally
So like it's
seconds.
you can sample. It's got a horrifically primitive sampler like in the barrel, right?
Yeah,
So you
exactly.
can somehow you can sample the dying sounds of your bolt gun victims.
Yeah, I'd be like, and then that sounds like a dying cyber turkey.
No, but yeah,
Yeah.
but like fart noises intensify. Yeah, like
Yep, yep,
you know how they
exactly.
would like in classic toy commercials in the 80s they would have the two kids with like the amazing terrain set up and like, yeah, take that Cobra, or like,
That was me as a kid, except there was just me with the two
well,
play
yeah,
sets
right, yeah, no,
because
totally,
I
but
was a
the
lonely child.
commercial version
Yeah,
would be just like you're gonna be a club hit, and then like he shoots a gun.
yeah. You could be. This is the club mix.
Right, yeah,
It's like a
sample.
weird weed whacker gun. Yeah.
I'll pitch shift you down to hell.
We'll put that on the World Wide Web.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. They wouldn't say that on a kids show. Maybe they would, but if we're doing an '80s kids show, they like hell would be way too much.
Just say
Um,
Detroit. It works.
hey, send him to Detroit.
Yeah. Thank you for calling Dr.
Um, so we will stay tuned for the. Oh, and you there's got to be a way to assemble the cover art of So Happy with just that demony man.
Yeah, it does look like a toy, doesn't it? Like
Yeah, we should come
yeah,
out. This I'm gonna cut back to. You'll hear the audio again.
kind of like an evil version of Buzz Off.
Oh, buzz off!
Yeah, baby. He's love my Buzz Off.
Oh, love. Here's that cover art again, real quick. I'll just show you at home. If I can do so happy was cut number.
Doesn't
Yeah.
look like Buzz Off, but yeah.
Yeah, like I forgot to turn off my advertising things. They went again, but so like yeah, we'll get that guy on there. That'll be cool. Get the actual Skull Cultist coming soon from Tiger Squawk Toys, which I just made up now, but that actually sounds really fun. So I think we figured out the Skull Cultist 80s action figure toy line.
Yeah.
Whether or not that comes to fruition, we'll see. But you'll hear
It
about it
needs-
first. What's that?
It does need a chokeable missile. So
What do you mean? What's a chokeable missile?
like from the old what was it? It was either the Viper or the Cylon Raider, and they
Right.
had to pull or the Boba Fett that was supposed to have a launching rocket.
Yeah.
And they pulled all that stuff because kids choke on it because they'd shoot it in their mouth and die.
Oh, chokeable missile.
The late 70s, early 80s were a dangerous time, my friends. I lived through it. I made it. I made it. Yeah.
Well, the sober stenographer says because Brian needs another project. You took the words out of my mouth. Chokeable
Absolutely.
Missile is a strong band name.
That might get some bad attention, but you're like, no, it's about a toy.
Yeah,
That's
it would Choke Point Overdrive would be the reference. I know it's a Club Elevator song. Yeah,
have Nicole doing it like chokeable missile.
Explain.
She's already shaking her head. No,
Oh,
I think
God.
Milky Pickle was way too far for her one time. Now
Well,
she's doing
always
this.
that moment when people at work find out you're in a band. You go, "What's your band name?" And what kind of music do you do?
Yeah.
Like 9 Inch Nails. To steal a joke from Caustic. I was going to say, though, if any of that comes to fruition, you would hear about it first at patreon.com/Mr. Zoth. Check that out. So happy. I'm so happy that album's out. We were able to get it up on the screen. It's not on the Tiger Squawk page yet because it's a little baby of an album. It's a monster, but it just came out, so it's
my fault.
Young.
I don't warn Brian very much. He
That's
probably
all
hates
right.
that. He won't tell you that, but he's like, fuck.
Oh, my buddy David's got a great joke. Get Chokeable Missile to remix Armageddon
Dildos. Dude, I am a massive AD fan. I love Armageddon Dildos. Like, huge fan. Big Zothmog fan. So, obviously with Mr. Zoth. But, like, yeah, that, yeah.
They came out with some stuff over the pandemic. It was awesome.
I was gonna say as a self plug, I don't DJ very often on Twitch, but I do Sudden Angry Disco Factory, and I do play
Sudden Angry Disco Factory. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's on Twitch under Mr. Zoth, and I play a lot of Zothmog. I'll do whole sets of Zothmog, because that's my favorite record label. In fact, in that clip with me on the keytar, which is really should be embarrassing if I was capable of embarrassment, I'm wearing a Zothmog t-shirt. So, but yeah, I think I played East West in my last set. So,
well, you're not gonna get any pushback for being a Zothmog fan here on Space Couch. That pretty much ruined my high school career.
Thank you, Mordith. What a nice. I already see Mordith. I don't have my reading glasses on. I see Mordheim because my brain automatically goes to my favorite miniatures game. It's like Warhammer, Brian. Don't worry. But like it's yeah, good name.
I thought
Mordeth.
Mordheim. I thought Warhammer was your favorite.
Mordheim is Warhammer. It takes place.
Warhammer.
It takes place before the current fantasy timeline before they destroyed it. It's a long story, dude.
Okay, it's fine. I know more about it now from our podcast. If you like the conversation we're having, you can of course subscribe to the Industrial Nerds podcast wherever podcasts are accrued. We have been having some great episodes lately. Matt Hart, of course, but. Check
Steve
out our
Archer,
earlier episodes where we just Stephen Archer, where we just sort of figure it out, and we'll roll into some great content. We got into the orthocaris coming up, of course, Mr. Zoth and Club Evader. Stay tuned for that insulin shocks.
It's gonna
That
be
is
neat.
that is gonna be that is going to be type one awesome.
Type one, awesome. That's right. It's gonna be very sweet.
Oh yeah. You're gonna need a gold creme cracker bar after this with the marshmallow stuff. But this is all to say that we are on a rogue flight path out here in space. We're going to bring this flying couch back on into the station. I normally end on asking what's next for our guest, but we did so much coverage here for the what's next for the mighty Steven Saunders. Do you have any final thoughts, or do you want to? You have more. Of course, you have more. You don't stop.
I don't shut up. Yeah, I know. It's imagine poor Nicole she lives with me. She'll say, "Oh, I don't have to." So I have I'm working on Hope Grinder, which will be the next Skull Cultist,
Hope
and there'll be
grinder.
a Hope Grinder,
That's
one word.
that's dope, dude.
And there's also we have a new Club Evader track. I'll be on Insulin Shocks. That is Butterfly FX, and it will, like I don't know when we're gonna get it done, but there'll be there's always new stuff going on. So
Well,
always new
and
things.
as I
And
said
and
before,
oh, sorry, and
oh,
I might be working on a gaming soundtrack, and that's all I can say. Like a video
okay.
game, like an
So
actual
we
video game,
like an actual video game.
like an actual video game,
Oh
like
man,
a Doom-esque video game, and that's
a
all I can say
Doom-esque
about it.
video game coming from Skull Cultist. One of the very best
Fingers
artists on
crossed.
Tiger Squawk. And I was gonna say, partly your fault for Tiger Squawk. I always say it really started when you said, like, "Can I be on your label?" And I said,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
that's
sure."
right. I
And
was just joking. You're like, oh well.
yeah, so yeah, but later it spawned one of the high points of my life. So Tiger Squawk is where you find many of, but not all, of Mr. Saunders' releases. So check that out. Skull Cultist. This is Brian for Space Couch, for Steven, for many things. One of them is Skull Cultist, saying, "Call the spaceships to Davenport, prepare for Dev Anarchy, and interface with the couch in space." Industrial Nerds and Space Couch out.
Out.
Crashing into Jupiter. Oh no, we gotta do like that one weird was it Star Trek Nemesis where they go initiate manual control and like a fucking joystick comes on. You've never seen it before, but like you can apparently fly the Enterprise like it's like
Like,
asteroids.
yeah, you can fly it like it's a Microsoft flight simulator. You can just got the
Right.
stick, and you're just like, woo, yeah. That
From
went
the
over
bridge
well.
of the Enterprise. Oh God! All right, sorry. We just did a little industrial nerds talk there. This is Space Couch. Goodbye. Yeah, was that? Yeah, it was. Or was it? I think it was Genesis. Where whichever one had the prior patch. I don't know. I was just like, it blew my mind up so much with the noise that came out of the console for Enterprise. Insurrection. That's what I was thinking. Thank you. I barely. Yeah, it was all right. It was like a pretty good episode of the show. Yeah, I saw it in the theater too.